Now, Lamar was out with a hamstring injury. He was injured in their Week 4 game against the Chiefs, and we haven't seen him since. So that's been 3 games that he has missed altogether. Now, hamstring injuries, as we know, are real tricky for players, especially players like Lamar who move around a lot. So it's understandable that Lamar Jackson would miss 3 games. Look, we don't know what's going on inside the training room. We don't know what's going on inside the facility, although some people think they do. And this is where I am moved to a little bit of frustration, because Mike Preston is a columnist for the Baltimore Sun, and he is a reputable columnist. He's somebody who I've read for a while. I've watched him. There's a Baltimore sports podcast that he does. He brings in a lot of really good intel. And I understand that when you're in the columnist position, right? And it's kind of almost unfair. I'm so fortunate to be sitting in this chair, and Scotty rides shotgun with me a lot. Like, he will sort of take the same approach because he's so knowledgeable as a sports fan. But like sports talk radio, this show every day, which is not sports talk radio, but you get the idea. We get to bring our columns to life. And honestly, I was a journalism minor at Richmond, and it was so hard that I just dropped it. So I graduated with a communications degree, but I took a ton of journalism classes. When I always tell people, like, you want to know like real journalism, I knew it was not for me when I like couldn't get the address right for, a fictitious story where there was a home invasion. And if you miss the address where it happened by one digit, which is a big deal, right? Because now you got another house that's being invaded. If you get it right, which you have to, you've got the right house where the home invasion happened. But if you got it wrong in class, you got an F, and that was it. And I remember being like, what? Like, I just wrote this great story with all these details. No, you got that one detail wrong, you get an F. So I didn't necessarily, I flirted with that, right? And I was around it a lot. I do not consider myself a journalist. I'm curious. I love true crime documentaries, real sports documentaries. I love that. Why go watch a movie when I can watch something that really happened? Most of the time, that's just how I am compelled to watch stuff. So back to Mike Preston. Again, he is a credible writer, a journalist. With the Baltimore Sun. And he has said on the record recently on this Baltimore sports podcast, if I'm not mistaken, that, Lamar has tapped out. Like, he said, Lamar has tapped out on the Baltimore Ravens. And it's quite possible that this could warrant a trade. My biggest issue with this Mike Preston piece of news, right? By the way, I used to work for a guy at the Sixers. Great dude. His name's Michael Preston. And he actually worked in the Baltimore Ravens public relations department, but 2 different Mike Prestons. Very, very different. One's black, one's white. So, that makes it easy for you to start. But this Mike Preston, the columnist, says that Lamar is tapped out, and he doesn't really give any evidence as to why. Or he doesn't even, as far as I'm concerned, like, he doesn't even have like blind sources, right? To me, that's pretty egregious. And I'm not saying like, he is an awful guy or an awful columnist. Like, everybody does this stuff once in a while where you're like, I have a vibe as to what's going on in that building. And maybe he did hear something that he can't share at all, that if he were to say on the record, I heard from a source, maybe everybody would know who that source is. I don't know. I really try to stay open-minded with all this, but I learned a long time ago. I remember when I was working as a schlep for the NFL Today, and Jerry Glanville was one of the personalities, and we were working for Football Scouts, the War Room. We were contracted by CBS, and we would give those guys information that they could use to get ready for games, because we were like in it. We were constantly following the NFL and writing previews for games and stuff. And I remember Glanville told me one time, like, there is one thing that you can say or one thing you can't say really that is a complete indictment of a player, a team, a coach, whatever. And if you're going to say this, you better be for goddamn sure it's true, is that a player or a coach or a team has quit, right? You cannot say that. You cannot say that unless you absolutely know it to be true. So Mike Preston, like, I think you might be out of line here. And I'm sure you're way closer to that situation than I am. But, you know, to say that Lamar Jackson has quit on his team strictly on vibe, after the dude has put together a great run in Baltimore where he is, my brother Michael is always like Lamb Jack this, Lamb Jack that. I think Mike created the nickname just to be a dipshit. But he likes that. He loves Mike loves Lamb Jack, you know? And one of the reasons my brother is so taken to the guy is because Lamar Jackson has shown us nothing but being just a real good dude to the media, to his teammates, a little different, right? But I'm holding out hope that Lamar Jackson is going to return tonight with a vengeance and stick it up everybody's rear that is saying that he quit, right? That is saying that, you know, he's bogus. He's no good. You know, that he quit on his team. So right now I am going to say that my good friends from Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, right? You see him right here too, right? I think Mike Preston needs Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, the columnist for the Baltimore Sun. Now, are you not familiar with Daniel Stark? Let me tell you about him, okay? Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, if you get in a wreck, okay, and you think that you're getting screwed by your insurance company, okay, Daniel Stark is there for you. They've taken care of me in the past, right? I feel like Mike Preston just got into a little bit of an accident here by making these claims, and he just might need some help. Because right now, if I'm the big bad insurance company, I ain't believing what this guy's selling, okay? So he'd better get Daniel Stark involved. And if I get a note from Danny Daniel, who is the main guy over there at Daniel Stark, and he tells me to back off Mike Preston, I will, okay? But until then, I disagree with the fact that Lamar may have quit on this team. And let's just talk a little bit about how badly the Ravens need Lamar. Because I was checking out some of these numbers, right? Lamar Jackson is the Baltimore Ravens, okay? With Jackson playing, the offense puts up about 28 points per game. Without him, they put up 16 points a game. Offensive yards, they also tell the story. With Jackson in, the Ravens have accumulated, right? This is all time. I looked this up. They've accumulated 41,402 yards over 107 games, okay? Without him, in the games he has not played, they have cobbled together in just 16 games, which, by the way, the dude's a quarterback. He plays his ass off. The best ability is availability, and he's usually available. Hasn't been for 3 games, and all of a sudden, the goddamn sky is falling. I apologize for my language this morning. Chris Visser is going to take me to task. But I'm impassioned about this, okay? And Chris does not co-sign on this language, just so everybody knows. Without Lamar, right, in just 16 games, 4,900 yards. That is like night and day. And it shows just how invested this Baltimore Ravens team is in Lamar Jackson. So it's funny to think, okay, well, maybe we trade Lamar. If you trade Lamar Jackson, if you're the Baltimore Ravens, you've entered rebuild. You've started a rebuild. If you trade Lamar Jackson, you are telling me, right, and you're telling John Harbaugh that we are going to rebuild our team. Like, and who the hell wants to do that when you're a team that's constantly competing for an AFC title? The season is long. What's the? I mean, I apologize right now. What is the Ravens' record right now, Scotty? They're 2-5 right now, right? Still, I mean, you got 10 games left. You have 10 games left. I'm not saying they're going to run the table and win them all, but you get back a healthy Lamar Jackson, and like, trust me, you've got Miami tonight. They're going to win that game. So now they're 3-5, and all of a sudden now you have 9 games left with Lamar Jackson at 100%, and then you're the team that sneaks in somehow gets in the playoffs. And then all of a sudden, it's like all bets are off. because now you got Lamar Jackson. So I would appreciate if columnists that are putting together stories or going on podcasts and saying that Lamar Jackson has quit and tapped out, I would love for them to, at least the next time, just give us some context, right? And hamstrings, like, I gotta say, for a mobile quarterback with athletic ability and skills that we have almost never seen before at the position, like, that is a tricky situation physically. And we've never known Lamar Jackson to be this guy who is going to get up there, pound his chest and say this or that. It's just not who he is. So if you're looking for him to come out and make some grand statement like, I'm all in, I really am hurt, like, that's not who the guy is. So tonight, this is why the games are the best, guys, and why sports is the best. Tonight, the best reality show in the world plays out before us, right? Baltimore and Miami. Where is Lamar Jackson at? And guess what? The soundtrack to that is going to be my man Al Michaels. And you can't beat that. So I'll be ready for that game. We're ready for a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk college football. And God damn, there's so many coaching openings. It's broken through to the point where at one point this fall, I was freaked out by it and frustrated with it, right? Now, I'm sort of like low-key, like, excited and finding it scintillating, like, where the hell is everybody going to go? You know? We're going to talk about that when we come back. The Pete Souza Show is presented by Slovakia.